Dungeons and Dragons Neverwinter is a free-to-play 3D MMORPG by Art Games. Ever since the release of Neverwinter in 2013, I've been a very huge fan of the game. I still play this game until this day. It's actually one of the very few games I play these days. When I got into the game, it had everything that I could want in an MMORPG. You can make custom characters to your liking with unique stats, and each equipment had its own unique stat attribute to it. And there were different character backgrounds, and everything I can honestly want in an MMORPG was Neverwinter when it first launched. Whenever you find a piece of equipment, it changes your character's appearance. It was honestly the best game I ever played. Unlike World of Warcraft, the combat seemed a lot faster and more action-paced. I really got into the game because I enjoy the PvP in the game. Even though this is a game that mainly kids enjoy, I think majority of the video games released these days typically have a younger audience. Now, I haven't played this game roughly since 2016. I always was intrigued by MMORPGs. Silk Road, Guild Wars, Guns the Duel, Avabel Online, Adventure Quest, and even EverQuest. In fact, any game that has quest at the end of its name, I've probably played it. I spent majority of my teen years playing these types of games. Eventually, this is what would inspire me to make my own game, Virtual Monsters. It wasn't until a few weeks ago in early January that I decided to take a trip back to my hometown of Homestead, Florida. It wasn't until this trip that I decided to pick up my Nintendo Switch and my Xbox One. By this point, Neverwinter had been ported from the PC to the console, and I could officially play Neverwinter without needing to have an Xbox Live subscription. It was when I finally got back home and turned on my Xbox that I began to feel this nostalgia for once. I began to have flashbacks of pony noobs and PvP and how great it felt to build a character that was unique to me and my playing style. It was this feeling that I wanted people to have and enjoy in my own game. You see, for a while, I've actually been contemplating quitting development of my game. And I know that sounds crazy, and a lot of people are probably getting ready to shoot me for that statement, but just hold on a second. Internet gangsters, put your keyboards down. I've wanted to quit my game for a while. I realized a long time ago that I just bit off more than I could chew, and this project was much too large for me to handle. I thought I could make things better for myself by cutting away a lot of features I had planned originally and narrowing it down to 3 core features that centers around the entire game. Even with all of this, I realized that there's still a lot to go, and the amount of work and stress that comes from making a game like this is quite overwhelming. After a while, I began to get kind of sick of Virtual Monsters. I actually wanted to start making other types of games just to kind of get away from it. But I realized that I started this road and I've made it very, very public. I've gone too far to honestly quit at this point. It felt like everything around me was blue and I just felt this icky gray on the inside. It was hard to explain. It was really terrible. It was just a terrible feeling in general. Now, internet gangsters, before you start raging in the comments, hear me out. I know I've spent a long time building up the hype for this game, and if I were to ever quit this game, I wouldn't be surprised if a mob showed up at my front door one morning. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Some of the reactions to this game have been really genuine, and some people really love this game. And that's what I love about being the developer behind it. This is something that I worked hard on, and trust me, I don't want to stop working on it. Watching people's reactions are enough to keep me going. This might scare a few people, but I actually have a history of working on something for many years and then quitting the project on a whim, altogether, out of nowhere. When the project got beyond my scope of skill, or I felt like I spent too much time working on it, I ultimately either quit, or I got bored, or I just moved on to something else. This is how I got into music. This is how I got into cooking as a chef. So I kind of did the same thing with the last 2 careers that I had, but I realized at some point you have to pick a profession and you need to stick to something. You need to make something your discipline, and you need to commit to something. And you need to learn how to commit to things. I've done this several times in my life, which is why most people who know me personally didn't think I would make it this far. That being said, quitting all those times in my life has taught me something. Just because something takes a long time to do doesn't mean it's not worth doing. More importantly, if something is your dream, you should never quit or give up on it. You wouldn't want someone to quit on you the same way you quit on your project, now would you? Because yes, it may take a long time to complete. It might take months, sometimes years or even decades. But if it is your true dream and you want to see it come alive, it'll be well worth the wait. The reward is bound to pay off eventually. I'm not sure how the saying goes, but there's a saying that goes like this. It takes 5 years to achieve something, and whether you do it or not, in 5 years, you'll be 5 years older. So that means that if you're 25 now and you think it's a long time to wait 5 years to do a project, well, if you keep living, you're going to be 30 eventually. So why not spend that time working on a thing that's really important to you? Which is why I would never stop making my game, or stop making games to begin with. After all, one of my catchphrases is keep making games. It's a pretty hard standard to live up to, but it's something I've come to accept over the years. I am Codemaster Jamal, and that name finally means something today. As odd as it seems, one day this name will become a name that's known in households all over the US, perhaps even the world.
Hello, my name is Helio the Cube. Wow, you look tired. Would you like to rest?
When I got back home from Florida, I started playing Neverwinter again. Playing it again made me realize that if it wasn't for this game, I would have never tried to make virtual monsters. At the time, a lot of things in Neverwinter incorporated into their game was very state-of-the-art and revolutionary. Now I think a lot of these features are pretty standard when it comes to MMORPGs, and you can find almost any modern-day MMORPG with the exact same features. This was at the time the first MMO to have NPCs with actual voice actors and cutscenes with the character included, which made you feel like you were more part of the story. It was also a very intricate equipment system that changed with the player, and I really respected that. This is the first time I felt like I was actually a character in the game. A lot of Neverwinter really inspired my game, especially when it comes to having NPCs that could speak in the game. Not only that, but even the idea of having these particle trails on the ground that guide you towards the quest goal was originally features that were inspired by Neverwinter. I had taken so much from this game, and when I started to downsize the amount of features in the game because of the lack of manpower on the project, it made me realize I was losing what made my game unique in the first place. If it wasn't for Neverwinter or Art Games, I wouldn't be making games in the first place. The whole idea of having a website that you can use to register accounts and have these online multiplayer games that you can use your account to play these games with were all ideas I got from playing Neverwinter and other multiplayer games from Art Games. Even though now I'm a more seasoned developer and I can see that Art Games actually uses a client to launch all of their multiplayer games, which is something I should have worked on building in the first place before working on my game. It made me realize that the game I'm trying to build is possible, and with just a bit of hard work, this dream of mine is not that far from my grasp. I guess at the end of the day, the lesson I've learned is to never give up, no matter how difficult the road may be. Never give up. They wouldn't call it a journey without a couple of bumps along the road. And more importantly, if you have a dream worth striving for, it's better to start today than tomorrow. The sooner you start your project, the quicker it can become a reality. Well, I guess this will be all for today. If you liked the video, please feel free to subscribe to the channel in hopes that one day I can become a full-time YouTuber and deliver content to you guys on a weekly basis. I have some really great content that I want to deliver to you guys, but I need you guys' help to get me to the point of doing so. As always, take care and cherish your loved ones. Keep making games. Till next time, this is Codemaster Jamal, and I'm signing out.